And there's a place here waiting for you. For your business, yeah, we're on the Lord's time, sharing his love and his light.
That's another area that has been a major topic is racism, in the church, and people feeling like the church needs to apologize for racism. So let's touch on that. Like, what is it with people getting so hung up on the racism in the church when racism has been around in some form or fashion for a long, long time?
Long time.
And you guys gotta let me know if y'all disagree with this. I don't want any leader to come and apologize. I don't want them. I don't want any apology. The best apology is change behavior. In America, do not come to me and tell me, hey, we're sorry about slavery. How about you just give reparations the same way you did for every culture? How about you do policy change that will actually help black people out? No, I'm gonna give y'all an example. America wants to apologize for slavery, so they give affirmative action. Who is affirmative action to? That is for any person that is a minority in a sense. No, that is not a reparation. Reparation is specifically towards the group that has been harmed. So never in the history of America has there been specific policy making that was nationwide, that was guaranteed towards black people. So that is not, so there was no apology. Okay. And in the church, I do feel like the church has done their due diligence in making amends for the things that they've done in the past. I have seen the church has gone to places that have been victims of redlining, and they've provided financial, like self-reliance classes that are specific.
NAACP.
They're specifically geared towards the black community. They've teamed up with NAACP. They have done things that have not just said, hey, I'm sorry, but they have shown that, hey, we're making amends, and we're making amends for things that we didn't cause, that we were not a part of, but things that we either subconsciously or inadvertently benefited from, right? And I hate when they try to make it seem like, like the priesthood ban, and I talked about this in one of my other videos. The reason why it gets me upset is not necessarily the ban on the priesthood itself. It's just the fact that we were kept from those temple blessings. It's like my grandparent couldn't gotten sealed to his family forever. And I think that's because we miss like you talked about, we miss so many different marks that we don't even know how to talk about it. And then I had this one, I'm just venting to you guys at this point. Then I had this one brother that he's from Africa, and he came, I think he's like a international student. He came and he was just like talking about how like racism isn't real. And I had to pull him aside after church. I had to be like, dude, listen, brother, I just want you to understand this. Where are your ancestors from? Like, where are your ancestors from? He told me the country he's from. I said, I cannot tell you that. The reason why I cannot tell you that is because those documents were stripped from my family when we came out here. So our experience with being black, different, brother. Like, we may have the same complexion, completely different. It's different. Black American is totally different than wherever you came from. Because like there's so many ethnicities that you guys recognize in Africa. We don't have the luxury of experiencing that. A person from New York is completely categorized in the same category with a black person from Kansas. And so like there's like these little nuances. Like, oh dude, I'm telling you, there's probably like there's gonna be a bunch of white people that are gonna watch this and think that we all like, dang, they probably love the same things. They love the same music, love the same foods. No, I'm like, no, for real.
No, I listen to country. I don't care.
I hate country. It's the worst music ever. Hey man, I listen to it all.
But you see,
I'm all over the place
too. Smooth jazz, I don't even care.
My dad's on this Frank Sinatra era. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, Dad, never mind. No comment. The 90s was 90s dad, and 2024 dad a little different. But no, I think it's like, what do you guys think about that? I'm not saying that I don't think the church should come out and not apologize, but I think what they have done, I think has been the staple of what you should do as an organization. And I do think like how they are, I think America should follow suit. And I also think those people that are calling out racism in the church, I want to see what you were doing during the Black Lives Matter movement. I want to see how big of an advocate were you really? I want to see how you felt in your own community. Because if you haven't done any work in your own community, then don't go on social media and talk about it. That's how I feel.
That's the problem. That's the problem. Like, the church can say this and that, and they have said it. President Russell M. Nelson have talked about rooting out racism. You got Dallin H. Oaks. All these guys have talked about it. But I think it comes down to us as the members implementing it and actually living the first and second commandment. You know, if we're actually brothers and sisters, we need to act like that amongst ourselves and the wards. And then I think as we do that, people will see, oh, the church is not racist. Like, man, like that, it'll nip itself in the bud. Like if we do that, like
I really like what you said that first part, because like I you guys remember when there was that fake apology letter
that went around
from the church that went around,
like
and
2017, 2018, something like that.
something like that. And there was like this, there was one person specifically, I'm not going to call them out,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
but she was like in tears that this was fake. And I'm like, I was like, I don't really see the point. You know, like if you are waiting so long to get an apology from the church when they've already corrected their actions, which one holds more weight? You know, like if somebody, like if I was stolen from and someone said, "Oh, I'm sorry," but they didn't return the gift, you know, which one holds more value?
facts. No, facts.
Give my stuff back.
Get my AirPods back, bro.
I want my PS5 back, bro. Yeah. Like it doesn't make as big of a deal for me. Like words can be empty. Like if it came from the church, it could be an email. I don't know who that came from.
Restitution.
Yeah, you know, exactly, restitution. And that's what the church did. And I think that holds way more value, way more weight than, oh, I'm sorry, you know.
Yeah.
And this is probably my hot take, and I've said this before, is that we've got our restitution, we have our temple blessings, we have the power of the priesthood, we have the authority rather, and what are we actually doing with it?
Exactly.
Do we even magnify it to its full capacity? Do we actually even attend the temple when we can? Do we actually bless our children, bless our wives, bless our families? Probably not. Majority of us don't to its full capacity. I mean, President Nelson's called all of us to repentance multiple times. And so we have this gift. We received these temple blessings with this restitution. What are we doing with it? And so most of us, black, white, yellow, green, yellow, purple, I don't know who you are. It doesn't, at the end, are you using the gift that you have? We're not doing it.
We all understand there's like that certain group of people that the antis or the ex-Mormons or the people that are outside the faith that have a problem with. And those are like real members. But the reality is you're going to have those people in every organization, especially a global religion. Like dealing with racist people, I have a bold take where I do think that if you're racist, you shouldn't be allowed in the temple. That's how I feel. I feel like I would rather sit and worship in the celestial room with someone who smokes weed than somebody who is blatantly racist and is outwardly about that online. I do think that where we hold the standard of who a good person is, I feel like we do have members in the church that make justifications for racism and racist remarks online. But someone that smokes weed, they deserve jail time. It's just like, come on, dude. Like, what are we talking about here? There are certain things, like certain nuances that we have to deal with, but it sucks because it's that silent. It's the loud minority that just gets they get all the. It's like that's how it is. That's how the church is, and it's just like, oh my goodness, dude.
That's the way it is. Yeah.
That's what sucks. But either way, though, I do think that what you said is totally key. Like at the end of the day, it is on us. And the best way we can change the hearts and minds of members is to magnify our callings, magnify our homes. Because when people say, oh, shoot, like, look at Will, like, taking care of his family. Like, I wonder, like, why is he like that? Oh, the testimony in his faith. Oh, what does that mean? And then they can find out for themselves as opposed to us sitting over here arguing with the person that we'll never meet in our lives. So it gets me so mad.
Yeah, right. And honestly, my conversion is more than skin deep. To be honest, you know, you can think about those people who joined the church back in the 60s, the 50s, regardless of outwardly racism, knowing that they could not be a part of anything and people saying all these things about them, but they still stayed there.
Spiritual monsters.
Yeah. For real.
But they were converted not about cultural side, not because they were in the same room with someone or they got to do something, is because they had something that happened to them inside, you know. And I think that's what matters. That's what trumps, no pun intended, over of what is important. What's important, you know, and I think people kind of forget that you need to be converted internally before you can try to have problems with people externally.
I love that. The conversion is deeper than skin. Deeper than
Yeah.
skin deep. You better get your editor, you gotta put a little close up. You gotta put a close up. No, but it's so true. I think the bishop was trying to scold some of the members for staying up late and drinking kava. And he was saying like, you were part of God's culture before you're part of man's culture. And I think like us learning how to magnify ourselves in the gospel helps us to become better in the different facets of life we partake in, and also the things that are put upon us, like our ethnicity and whatnot. So
Yeah, most definitely. You know, I want to be empathetic towards people that do need apologies. Do I personally feel like the general church leadership needs to come out and apologize? I don't. I'm on the same stand with you guys. Some people though are different. They're not just as strong in faith as some. Remember, we're all like in different areas. So some people just need to talk about it. Right. Yeah. And so I do want to be empathetic towards those people. And so there are people that say, well, the church needs to address it. They need to talk more openly about it. Well, that's what these platforms are for. That's what we could do. Get together after church with some church members that have these same feelings and issues and talk about it. But don't expect the general leadership of the church to just focus and talk about it when their primary goal is to bring others unto Christ by helping them receive the covenants. Mm-hmm. Like we can't spend conference after conference talking about race when we need to get people to Christ, you know, like, and we need to lead them to Christ by encouraging them to do these things, to keep the commandments. Mm-hmm. But so I just wanted to lay that out there because I do want to be empathetic towards those people that just need to get a good talk through it. And I do want to say this, racism is not going to go anywhere until people change their hearts. This is an inward disease. Yes. You know, it's a disease of the heart. And the only way racism is going to end is if, what happened?
You said inward, right?
Yeah. But it sounded like
you said N-word.
Oh.
My mind I had to like.
Did anybody else hear that?
I did, low-key. Yeah. But I was like, I know what he meant. Context clues.
I got the context clues. It took me a minute.
Anyway.
I saw the realization hit on him and I was like, oh, shoot.
Everybody at home about to be like, did he say N-word? Or
I know, N-word.
Inwardly?
N-word. Gotcha.
No, it's just not, it's not going to heal itself until the individual makes the steps to see people the way God sees people, you know. And all right, let's say you're not religious or you're not in faith, but just see people the way you would want to be seen.
Yeah.
Like that's the only way, or treat people that way. That's the only way racism is ever gonna go away. Like an apology ain't gonna do it. We made some great points on why, because the work and the reparation behind the actions holds way more weight than just the words.
Yeah,
you know, and so that's my 2 piece on it.
I think I love that, and I think. Like I serve you guys know, I serve my mission in Africa, and where I was the lightest person around, right? And so like I think that racism or tribalism, hate is actually a condition everybody faces, not just one race or the other. Because I'm like, when I was in Africa, there were 37 tribes in Kenya, and they hated each other, and I'm like, sitting here like, you guys all look alike. Like maybe like subtle little differences. Your eyes are just a little bit different. You have a different last name and you hate each other, but you like from an American's perspective to an African perspective, completely different. And so I think like along what you're saying, maybe racism or like I would expand it to just hating somebody that you don't know or hating someone who isn't familiar to you is something that is a human condition and we need to root out in ourselves.
Right. Natural man condition.
Natural man.
Yeah.
Because even I always imagine this, like imagine a world where like tomorrow we can snap our fingers and racism in America is like cured, right? What's the next thing? There's going to be a next thing.
Absolutely,
Like because there has, in order to have a hierarchy, there has to be something. And I talk about this. I did like a deep study of like race and the history of slavery when I was in college, and it just, my professor put it clearly, like the reason why racism worked in America was because it was one of the first times in the history where the majority, basically the majority was ruling. Typically in these societies, in these countries where they have revolts, it's where the minority, or like the people, like let's say that the people that were being discriminated against, they end up being the majority.
Yeah.
And the reason why I was successful in America is because you come down to America, they have a super, super rich guy tell a poor white guy, hey, like, no, you have power because these people are below you. And then now, like, this poor white guy still feels his power, but he's still pushing that person up. And it's like, it's become like, people don't understand there's so many class issues that we have that are similar to different countries. And the reason why we haven't been able to progress past that is because we've been fighting against each other. It does suck though to think that I've had people on my page, and you guys probably have people on your pages, and people that you guys have seen throughout your life where they have realized their racism because they've met you and liked you as a person and realized, wow, like, maybe me not liking this person because of their skin color isn't good. And it sounds crazy to say, but I had a lady message me yesterday that said, like, basically I made her see her racism and that she's going to try harder to be kind to black people. And I sat there thinking to myself, like, what the, I was pissed. I mean, sorry, I was extremely, I was mad, man. I was like, what in the world? Like, why are you messaging me this? And I realized, oh my gosh, like, why does it take, like, I guarantee you there are people in the world that probably saw Michael Jordan and was like, all of a sudden started to become fond of black people. And it's like, why do we have to like be, I'm not saying the best of human beings, but why do we have to be some elevated look for you guys to see past the color? And it does suck, but that is the reality. And so like when you said something about like, are we magnifying our callings? And I'm like, hey, am I going to the temple enough? Like, yeah, I was a temple worker, but am I going to the temple enough to where I can put myself in situations where members can see me in these spaces? Because it is important for representation, not just for us in these callings, but it is important for us to put ourselves in spaces where they can see us online, where they can see us in our callings, where they can see us as fathers, because it is empowering. I know for me, about to become a father, there are some things that you guys know that I can't learn from other groups. And it also, same thing goes for them. Like there are some things that they can learn from you guys that they can't learn from other groups. And it does suck that we have to be put on this little like pedestal where it's like, if we screw up, we might have messed up their perception of black people. But it is a burden that I think that if we live our covenants, that is easier to bear.
Yeah,
most definitely.
This honestly, this podcast, this platform we have, that was kind of a little bit of the genesis of why we started it, is that we can change perceptions of black members and black men, that we are fathers, we do keep our covenants, we love our wives, we love taking care of our children. Just all these things that people may think that don't exist, or what the news tells them or what media says about us isn't always true. I mean, there's some stereotypes out there, people live up to it, but majority of us, we're not like what you see on TV.